In this presentation, we're going to be unpacking a single verse of Scripture from the first chapter of John's Gospel. That verse is verse 3, which reads, "All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made." On a literal level, the meaning here refers to the creative power of the Word to bring all that is into being. What perhaps is not so easily seen in the way that this verse is commonly translated is that it contains another level of meaning that has to do with the power of the Word to create a new mind within us. So hopefully, as we unpack this verse by going back to explore the meaning of just a few of the Greek words, we shall come to see just how crucial the role the Word plays in regenerating the human mind. Just so that we can see the verse in context, let's look at those verses that surround it. So reading John chapter 1, verses 1 through to 4, we have this: "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men." So if we just look at this verse, what I'm going to do is just highlight the specific words we're going to be looking at in a little more depth. And so these are the phrases: all things, were made or was made, and the pronoun him, and the single word in English, nothing. So with the exception of the pronoun him, the Greek words that underpin these words or phrases can be translated using different English words that remain faithful to the idea found in their Greek counterparts. So let's just get the relevant Greek terms in place here above the English translation. Now, looking at this, you will see that the first Greek word, pas, has been translated as all things. The next word, ginomai, occurs 3 times and is translated as either were made or was made. And the single English word, nothing, is a translation of 2 Greek words, ouda and heis. We'll deal with the pronoun him shortly. Now this translation, all things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made, is a perfectly valid translation. But we need to be aware that it's not the only way the Greek can be rendered into English. So let's remove the circles, and underneath the words we are working with, let's place the alternative words that could have been used instead. And the first thing you'll notice is that the Greek word pas means all. Now, it might imply the word things, and certainly that's what the translators have run with, but it's not necessary, as all is all. So I've chosen not to qualify all with the word things. And I've done that to help us to avoid thinking by association of objects that make up the material world. And that's what this word things tends to make us do. So our goal here is to get at what this verse means as it relates to what is non-material or spiritual. That is, those things related to the inner world of human consciousness. Because it is in this world that the Lord, as the Word, seeks to recreate and regenerate us after a heavenly pattern. We now come to the next Greek word, ginomai, which is the base for the English phrase were or was made. But this Greek word, when you get back to its root, means to become or come into being. And it can also mean to generate. So for the sake of getting to the spiritual meaning and its implications in all three occurrences of the word, I have used the form of come into being. Now this is where things start to get interesting. So let's now deal with the pronoun him. Him is the correct translation for the Greek word here. However, him also refers to the word itself, and this meaning is provided due to the context of the opening two verses. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. So given this, instead of the pronoun, I have taken the liberty of inserting what the pronoun actually points to or refers to here, which is the Word. The final word we're going to deal with is this word, nothing. This is a translation of two Greek words. The first is ouda, which is a word of negation, meaning not. The second of the Greek words is the word hais, which means one. So these two words taken together quite literally mean not one. Now the translators, looking to maintain consistency, remember their use of the word things earlier, have understandably translated not one as not one thing or nothing. But what we'll simply use is a literal translation so that we stick with the words not one. So when this is all taken together, what have we got? Using the words we have chosen to use, we have this rendering of verse 3. All come into being through the Word, and without the Word, not one coming into being comes into being. We can play with this a little more through using the other meaning of ginomai mentioned earlier. Ginomai means to become or come into being, as we have seen, but it also means to generate. And in the word to generate relates to the Lord's power to regenerate the human mind. So if we use the term regenerate, we get all are regenerated through the word, and without the word, no one is regenerated who is regenerated. Of course, this doesn't say anything new so far as what is found in the doctrines for spiritual Christianity. In fact, it really just confirms what every person who practices the word already knows. But it's nice to see that the word, even in its letter, yields an alternative meaning for those who seek to know its application to their spiritual or mental life. So in closing, I leave you with this quote from the Heavenly Doctrine from the work The Doctrine of Sacred Scripture. It is by means of the truths with a person that the Lord has the power to save them. For by means of truths from the sense of the letter of the word, a person is reformed and regenerated. They are taken out of hell and introduced into heaven.